Every time.
All righty. Well, welcome everybody to Coffee with a Missionary. This is so exciting for Mel and I to be here today. We're talking with Gerritt Kenyon.
Hey guys.
Gerritt and his wife Tara are missionaries to Panama. Hi Gerritt.
Hey man, what's up?
We're doing great, and we're so excited for you to be here with us tonight. And kind of starting out, just why don't you share with everyone who will be watching and who are watching on the replay, share a little bit about who you are. Now, when I asked you this question ahead of time, I said, introduce yourself using a picture or a movie clip or something like that. So I'm interested to see what you came up with.
You did. Okay, so a picture or a movie clip. A picture would be man, I had a picture. Literally, it's funny. The picture I have is someone in the water on a surfboard with a lot of friends, hanging out, enjoying the ride of your life. That's probably the best way to describe us.
I like that
a lot.
Wow. So if you're just joining us, I saw that there's 3 live right now. If you're joining us on the replay, we were speaking with Gerritt Kenyon here and his wife Tara and their kids are missionaries to the youth culture of Panama. And Mel's supporting her coffee.
I'm just getting brownie points over here. I don't know for what, but I'm earning them.
You are getting brownie points.
and we asked Gerritt, introduce yourself using only a picture or a movie clip. And he said someone in the water on a surfboard surrounded by friends, just tossing the waves going. But I like that.
But now, are you actually surfing, or are you just the person that's hanging out on the surfboard?
No. I'm actually surfing the ride of my life. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
I love that. And as we're talking, I'm sure we're going to hear more about the ride of your life, because that's what mission is.
It is. It's so true. It's so true.
We're so excited. But you guys are in the country of Panama. How long have you been there?
We've been in Panama just now almost 9 years. Yeah, it's been a while.
And now, did you start out in Panama?
We did not. We were in El Salvador for just under 3 years.
I knew that.
Yeah, we were there for, we were MIT's missionaries in training with Don and Terry Triplett there for a while, and had a lot of fun. Learned a lot, worked hard. But we had a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So very cool.
That's awesome. So your wife Tara couldn't be with us tonight. So why don't you introduce your wife and kids? We have a picture of you guys here, and this is actually a really nice picture.
This is one of the only few moments that you will get an actual real smile out of.
I was literally just about to say, I think it's the only time I've seen you just. Let's use the word
Look
normal.
At that beautiful picture.
Oh, it's great. Oh, they're gorgeous. So you have in that photo, Titus is the youngest, and he is our Panamanian, born in Panama. Titus just turned 6 and is a first grader, enjoying the life of first grade and all things first grade. And we always say that if we had Titus first, he would be our only child. Titus has been our battle. And so it's kind of interesting. With Titus, he was born around the same time that everything kind of launched, that we'll talk about here in a little bit. So all of our ups and downs have been with him. And the oldest there was Malachi. He was born in El Salvador, and he is my old soul. Just very close to the Lord's heart and loves the Lord with everything in him. And he is an amazing child. He just is very, doesn't belong in amidst with his friends, but you put him in with high school students or university students, and he'll talk their ear off and just have these adult conversations. So
that's awesome.
That's incredible. Well, just before Mel asks the next question, we got an amazing question here, John Musacchio. Thank you, John. He says, tell them why you always make that one face.
We will
get there.
How do I do it?
We will get there. Okay.
Do we have a picture
Trust
of that?
me, we have something special lined up. We do have a picture.
I feel like this should be changed from coffee with a missionary to roasting a missionary. That's what I feel like. That's where we're heading to tonight. That's why I feel like we're heading to.
This is just a little something, little face that we have.
Guys, this is the face of missions.
That is the face of
Right
missions.
there.
Pain and joy at the same time. Pain and joy.
It's awesome.
But so anyway, you know, you're a missionary to Panama, and you're in Panama City of 4 million.
Yep.
And you know, it was funny because as I was thinking about missionaries and just our normal thought when we think of a missionary, we don't think of someone in a absolutely international, bustling city of 4 million people. English is spoken, you know, pretty much around that. So,
what was it like? You just stole my question.
No, it's fine. You know, it has its moments. It's intense, but not on the fun intensity side. I mean, you guys know, most people know, I grew up in New Jersey, which is, you know, pretty much a big board of urban. And so, I mean, I loved that atmosphere. And so coming here from El Salvador, which is another big city, but it's a lot different. We have skyscrapers everywhere. We have the third most skyscrapers in our hemisphere, which a lot of people don't know about, Panama. And then you have that intermix of all these cultures and everything. But the crazy thing about it is there is no like Latin kind of like that Latin feel. It's very different. It's a lot of mixture of Caribbean, and then you have that little bit of Latin feel, and you have all these things, and all that mixes in together. Then you have this wealth, you throw that in there, and then you have these populations of Jewish community. And I mean, it's very different. It's a hustle, but yet also it's not. They also know how to hustle, but not really at the same time, because you still have that Caribbean that's like, hey, let's slow down. Let's not do anything today. Let's have a party.
So are they pretty productive then?
Oh wait, we lost him just a sec here. When he come, we got you.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
So would you say it's like productive city? You know,
yeah,
like
I mean, I would say productive. They work 6 days a week. So I mean, there is a productivity to it, but it's maybe not coming from like that New York East Coast feel. In a lot of sense, you know, being in the city here, you would think there would be a lot more production, but there still is, because our building is, you know, our infrastructure is exploding. So you have those moments, but then there are other moments you're like, hey, let's hustle up. Come on. Like, you know, why am I waiting 20 minutes for my Big Mac? Those concepts. So,
So now you guys work with the youth down there, right?
We do. Yes.
So can you just tell, you know, us and our viewers a little bit about the youth culture down there? How would you kind of describe it in a nutshell, if that's even remotely possible?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that our youth culture is a lot. If you've ever been in and around Miami youth culture, it's probably pretty close to a Miami feel. So you have that urban youth culture feel intermixed with all these other cultures that are there. And then but then on the flip side, you have high schoolers like 18, 19 years old that are like juniors and seniors in high school, and they still act like they're 13. So you have like this really weird mix. And so pulling that out and working in that has been really kind of unique for us, coming from a background of youth ministry, which is, you know, that's kind of what we do and have always done. That it's very different, but yeah, it's still fun. And it makes life a little bit more interesting, because you throw in that inner city feel, and it's a lot different because of just those other cultures mixing into all of that.
Now you mentioned, you know, this works perfectly. So if you're watching, Gerritt mentioned that, you know, there's some 18-year-olds acting like they're 13. Well, here tonight we have 30-year-olds plus, and we're going to act like we're 13. So we have a segment coming up. If you're watching, we have a segment coming up in 10 minutes. and it's called "Are You Smarter Than a Missionary?"
Oh, this is dangerous.
So if you would like to join, you the viewer, you out there, okay, if you are watching this and if you want to play this game against Gerritt, message LAC World Missions and we will send you a link, and you will be on the video feed. And in about 10 minutes, as soon as we hear from you, we will act like some 13-year-olds.
And it's first come, first serve. So start typing.
Yeah, so we look forward to hearing from you. So sorry to cut you off, but continue with the youth culture.
No, you're good. No, it's good. That makes it different. And then because of Panama City being so urban, then when you do events with an entire national church and national country, you have all these other subcultures mixing into that. And then you have your urban kids, and then you've got your kids that are on the border, coming from the border of Costa Rica. And so that's a whole different climax of people. Then you've got your indigenous. And so it makes it a lot of fun ministering in the entire country, but also in the urban context. So, yeah.
Can I ask another quick question?
Yeah.
So similar to other cities, where you said you have like an influx of different nationalities and different cultures, do you find that there's a lot of different like religious diversity also? Or does it follow kind of the Latin American standard, which is, mostly Catholic with some slight different, No,
we have almost 100,000 plus Muslims that are in the country.
Okay.
We have almost 250 to 300,000 Jewish population here. So then you have the Chinese culture, and you've got the urban, the Caribbean influence of Dominican and Haitian, and now Colombia and Venezuela adds a whole new mix for us. So with that, you have all those other religious cultures that you're talking about that are very prevalent. But I think what drives culture here in youth ministry wise, at least what I noticed, is a lot of your students are still going to public schools. I mean, you still have your massive amount of private schools, but because of that being driven by government and your minister of education nationally, you still have a focus on religion. And so that religion will still and always be a Catholic-based country. But we're finally, I think, seeing this fight with those traditional beliefs and religions, with all new mixtures coming in saying, hey, we don't want that, we don't want that. And so it's kind of interesting to see where the Catholic Church is going to land on this, where the government's going to land on this, and those concepts. We play Switzerland and just kind of slide in and just do our thing. And they do whatever they want to do. They can duke it out later. But, for us, we just slide and do our thing. But it does make it interesting. But, I mean, we'll walk into a school and we'll have a Muslim girl. And you would never know that she's from a Muslim family. And she'll be sitting in our program. And we'll minister the gospel. And you'll watch her walk out the door and walk into a van. And their dad covers her up as soon as she opens the door to the van. And you would never know that. But yet in a public high school, she's just a normal girl. Sure. And so you have that a lot, which makes our job a lot of fun because we get to do and plant seeds and water seeds and stuff like that a lot of people don't get to do. So
sure.
That's amazing. Well, if you're just joining us or if you're watching on the replay, we're talking with Gerritt Kenyon. He and his wife, Tara, and their family are in Panama. They're missionaries to the youth culture of Panama. We're having so much fun. But in a few minutes, we're going to play a game called Are You Smarter Than a Missionary? And we need you as a viewer. So if you're watching this, we're talking to you. If you would like to play and join on screen and play Gerritt in Are You Smarter Than a Missionary, just send a private message to the LAC World Missions page, and I'm going to send you a link to join. You'll need Google Chrome. Hopefully it'll all work out. If not, Gerritt's sweating bullets. But if it doesn't work out,
he can go up against me and he's going to win. So please save me. If nothing else.
So when we hear from you, we look forward to playing that game. But thank you so much, Gerritt, for taking the time. He's been talking a little bit about the youth culture of Panama, about the city of 4 million people. You know, there's something though that you guys have started, and it's really exciting. You got your hat on there. You got your
I
so
do.
at this point, it'd be awkward if we didn't talk about it.
It's fine. That's the reason why we wear the hat, so we don't have to talk about it. You could just look it up.
Oh,
So it's fine.
John Gallagher said he's in for "Are You
No.
Smarter Than a Missionary?" He is a missionary. What the? All right, John, we're sending you the link here. But anyway, what is El Refuge? Talk a little bit about how God birthed that in you and all of that.
Okay. You know, for us, we were invited by the National Church to come to Panama, basically to do youth ministry in high schools, to do kind of a 7 project style, which a lot of people may not know what that is, but basically 7 project is you go in and it's evangelism in high schools. And then at the end, in the States, you would invite them to a service where then you actually preach the gospel. And so you would talk on values in the States. Well, here in our country, you could preach the gospel in the actual program that you do. So you do skits and dramas and all the fun aspects of ministry, crazy stuff. And so we were invited to do that. That was our heart. So we came in, and our first year was probably our hardest. We just really hit a struggle, didn't have any doors open, really fought a lot of places, and we just felt defeated. And we had a senator open a school for us through a friend that knew the senator and called in a favor, walked into a school and preached the gospel. We actually had a team from New Jersey with us on the ground, and walked in, and God shifted our probably our ministry, our life, everything shifted that day. And we basically did our normal routine, a couple dramas, couple skits, shared some testimonies, preached the gospel, just kind of shared from our heart, no longer than 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden we watched God sweep across the room, and 250 students began to weep and cry, and we were just not knowing what to do, and not seeing that ever in a context in a public school in the States or in any country I've been in prior to coming to Panama. I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, just told the team, go pray, because I don't know what God's up to. I got to figure out what's going on with the principal, because she's looking at me like, what did you do to my students? You know, and I'm like, oh, great. How do I explain that? A move of God. This is going to be fun. And the kids are like falling down in the spirit. I mean, just super Pentecostal stuff that just no one had ever seen before. None of our team, myself or our Panamanians, had ever seen that in a public high school. And so as I'm gearing to go, this girl grabs me and then just kind of holds on to me and says, tried to talk to me, and one of the team members was trying to pray with her, and he's like, Pastor Gerritt, I don't know what to do. This girl, I don't know what she's saying. Can you translate? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, tell me your name, tell me your story. And this little girl's name that we've decided to call Sarah to protect her. She just basically called us out and said, if your God's real, why does he allow the things in my life to happen to me on a nightly basis? And through a conversation, we began to hear a story that was of abuse, and that she was being sold for profit, and that her father was abusing her. And she boiled it down to say, I thought for sure I was safe, and I thought my dad was going to let me be safe, because he took a new job and he was leaving for 6 months. And then, like, here I am, and my dad looks at my brothers and says, she's all yours. And this little girl, 13 years old, tears streaming down her face. And what do? You have this encounter, and you pray with her and you counsel her. And I'm like, here, let's go find the counselor, because that is the first time in a Latin context I've ever been in a situation where a Latin student had just came out with a story like that. And so I bring her to the counselor, and the counselor goes, yeah, we know her story. Her story's like most of the other girls and boys in this entire room. And I'm like, there's 250 kids. Are you kidding me in this room right now? And you're telling me that there's most of those stories. And that day, 90% of those students had that same story, boy or girl. Wow. And like, I mean, we just ministered for, almost an hour. And then we're coming out of that. And out of nowhere, like we just look at my wife, and my wife looks at me and she goes, everything shifted just now. I know what we're supposed to do. And so through that, kind of El Refuge launched, and it's our a counseling center for students. And that has launched into a conference that we now run annually for both boys and girls. And we just watched God explode and open doors where before we were knocking on doors, and now we have schools calling us saying, hey, we need your help. You're the only one that has a solution. We don't know what you can do. Come on and help us out. And so we just opened up officially a Refuge Urban Ministry Center where we counsel students several days a week. And they can come in, hang out, get homework done, work with us. And those are the high abuse hours that we give them refuge. Hence the reason why we call it El Refuge. Everything in Panama slang. So we play on that urban context. But really, that's, in a nutshell, that's really what happened. And we hear that story more often than we care to announce. And we hear it very often. And we have just watched God allow us to be in the right places across multiple schools and right moments and get to share life and bring restoration to students in a very powerful, real way on a daily basis.
That's fantastic.
Well, praise God. And on that extremely spiritual note, we have a guest that is joining us. Thank you so much, John Gallagher. Now, John also is a missionary, so it's win-win on this one. So we're gonna bring John into the broadcast.
Well, now you
here.
see what's happening. It's Costa Rica versus Panama.
It's Costa. So
it's the World Cup.
Everybody say
no.
Hi, hey, John. What's happening, Gerritt?
What's up, man? How are you?
It's great to see you. I just have one question. Why didn't you call it the Refugio?
Because that's super churchy and Pentecostal here. And so I can't be that Pentecostal outright. I mean, I'll get there, but yeah, it's true. And we do all things slang and ghetto. So that's why we do it that way.
Oh, you're just so much cooler than I am. I love you, man.
I love you too,
dude. So now we have John Gallagher, missionary to Costa Rica, who was just on our last Coffee with a Missionary. And we have Gerritt Kenyon, our current guest, missionary to Panama. So we're playing Are You Smarter Than a Missionary? I don't even know what's happening here. But all right, Mel, you gonna lead us here?
I don't know. You told me I can't.
Oh, okay. So here we go. We're gonna start off. We have 5 questions, I think. Okay.
Okay.
And we're gonna start off, and I'm gonna ask the question, and basically the first one to answer.
Correct.
They have to do something to let us know that they have the answer.
You have to raise your hand. This is school, folks.
Raise your hand. That's brilliant.
Yeah, you have to wave to the camera, do something so we know. And so it's like Family Feud. You know, the first one to raise their hand, you get the floor. And
John, that's good because the screens are very tiny, so make sure it's right in front of your face.
Perfect. So
there it is.
If you're just joining us, we are playing Are You Smarter Than a Missionary? And we asked the guest to join. And John Gallagher, our previous guest, missionary to Costa Rica, chimed in. He took up the challenge. He's going to be facing off against Gerritt. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to take Mel and I are going to be out of the screen here. This is just going to go.
Oops, did we lose them all together?
I think we did, John. I think we could totally take over this whole online moment.
Let's do it.
No, we gotta come back
not so fast.
All right, not so fast. We're coming back.
Okay. We could totally do this.
All right, this first question. Are you ready for Are You Smarter Than a Missionary?
Yeah.
This first question is a multiple choice question. So you can raise your hand as soon as I'm done asking the question.
How many multiple
But you have to wait. I have 4 answers. You have to wait for me to finish saying them before I call on you, okay?
Have you guys met Mr. Lane? He will be your teacher today.
All right. So here we go. Hold on. Let me make sure I get everything. Okay. I'm sorry. I only have 3 answers on this one. Okay. Here we go. Here's the question. It says, what currency does Panama use?
Okay.
We have the Panama Balboa, the American dollar, and the peso.
Raise your hand.
Wow, this one's slow. Okay. What currency
No,
does
I
Panama
know what it
use?
is. I just want to see what John's going to say.
You're waiting it out.
I am. I'm going to wait it out.
That's not fair.
So actually, that's not an easy question, Noah.
It's not an easy question, and that means John knows what I'm thinking too.
It's a little bit of a trick question. Yeah, it is a little bit of a trick question, but
because it's not what currency is the national currency. It's what currency do they use?
The question
it actually depends on how many dollars we're talking about.
It also depends on who you ask on the street and where you go.
So we have asked 2 missionaries, one to Panama, one to Costa Rica. I haven't seen any hand. Are we just waving this one by?
No, I mean, yeah.
John answers. Okay, John, what do you got?
It's A and B. Because if it's $1, it's a Balboa coin, and if it's multiple, you use U.S. dollars.
Really?
So, yeah, well, officially we use U.S. dollars. However, everything in country is labeled Balboa.
Balboas.
Nothing is labeled in American dollars.
Huh.
And if you look it up, it's all American currency. Everything, CIA fact book, everybody says, everything's traded on American currency, but everything is talked about in Balboas. Everything's driven in Balboas. Everything's around Balboas. We still have actual Balboa coins, like John said, and our dollars. So it depends.
What are you do with that one?
It's 1-1.
Our official scorekeeper has said 1-1. All right.
John is on my left hand and you're on my right.
All right. Next question. Here we go. So
thanks for the explanation, though, there, Gerritt, because
Yeah.
All right. So this is also a multiple choice. So once again, you can raise your hand as soon as I'm done asking the question, even before I say the answers. But I'm not going to recognize you till after I say the answers. So here we go. Panama was once a part of what country? USA. All right, so John will go first, but we got the USA, Mexico, Colombia, or Costa Rica. All right, John, what is it?
It was the northern province of Colombia.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. Oh, my goodness. Gerritt, this does not.
No, but it's okay because the problem is it's also a trick question, too, because there's other countries. But because you gave only like 3,
right.
we're also owned by Spain as well. So
still?
No, we were.
All right, so
were.
No, we're.
But it wasn't in your multiple choice. So I mean,
and like a little belt of it was owned by the U.S. kind of, sort of.
Yes, that's also.
And we will get to that. So you guys are smarter than everyone here. But we're going to give that one to John. He answered first.
Oh, no. He did the clarification.
No, it's fine. John's got it. It's good.
Don't be humble, John. You won that one. So all right, here we go.
Right,
question number 3. This is not multiple choice,
which is why I'm going to ask it.
It's worded very carefully. All right, here she goes.
It's worded carefully, so I'm going to read it carefully. Panama is the Latin American country with the most professional athletes in what U.S. sport?
Gerritt.
That would be baseball.
Correctamente. That's exactly right. Baseball.
See?
There are more Panamanians in Major League Baseball than any other Latin American.
More than Cubans and Dominicans? Is that really true? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I read. I could be wrong.
Wikipedia,
Well,
so
don't reveal our sources.
So now we're tied. This is the tiebreaker. Last question.
2-2.
All right.
Well, we do have another special tiebreaker, but here we go.
Oh, okay. So what country, this one is not multiple choice either. What country has full control over the Panama Canal? John. You're quick, man.
Panama.
That is correct.
Yep.
It was a little bit of a trick question because before 2000, that was the U.S. a little bit for a while there, right?
So, Gerritt, how much control does China have?
Is that another trick question?
We're almost there. We're waiting to find out. There's a
So
new
China is possibly taking more control than Panama over the canal?
there's a new treaty with our current president that we're all a little bit scared about.
Wow.
And it'll be very interesting. Currently, the treaty is that we, the U.S., can come in if the canal is ever threatened and take over all of the land that it owns right away, to protect it until the threat decreases. And with the new interesting agreements that are happening right now with our current vice president in China, as well as our president on his way, or just got back. I just saw his motorcade go by, so maybe just got back today. They are working on new agreements with China and what that looks like for the canal moving forward in the U.S. agreements of the treaty. So it'll be very interesting in the next couple of years what that looks like.
Yeah.
Wow. All
So
right.
they'll own us pretty soon.
He needs that point because he's way smarter on that point than I was.
All right. So we have a tie, and we anticipated this. So
Gerritt won.
oh, well,
Garrett won.
How did I win?
oh my God. Okay. You know what?
So you know what, John? You get a point for being here. So it's 3-3.
no.
Just if you want to answer this, just ask the last question. Just ask the last question.
So the last question is not a question. It's a little bit of a game, okay?
Okay.
So earlier on, John Mustachio had mentioned the face, okay?
Those faces he makes in pictures?
If you don't know what the face is, this is the face here.
And I love that your sons have kind of adapted this also.
They have.
It makes me so happy.
So we're going to play a little game that we call Silly or Serious.
Okay.
Okay, so this is for you, John. Silly or serious? You got to close your eyes when the time comes. You got to close your eyes.
Okay.
And I'm going to post a picture of Gerritt, and you have to say whether it's silly or serious.
Just guess.
You just have to guess. It's just there's no skill involved except for spiritual, recognition.
I'm gonna have to go in and hide and make private all of my photos after this.
Okay. All right. So if you're just joining us, or if you're watching on the replay here, we're playing Are You Smarter Than a Missionary? And John Gallagher joined as a special guest here, and we're tied up here. So our last little bit, we are playing a little game called Silly or Serious. So John, go ahead and close your eyes.
Cierren los ojos.
And we're going to throw up this picture. Everyone can see it. And you have to say, is it silly or serious?
Okay, you say when I say.
Go ahead.
I'm going to guess silly.
Ding, ding, ding. That's correct. It's a silly face. Good job. All right, one more. We'll see how you do. Eyes are covered. Here we go. Photos going up. Is it silly or serious?
Well, because the last one was silly, I got to go with serious.
Unfortunately, we doubled up. We went silly again.
There you go.
So now we need the tiebreaker. This is it. This is the ultimate. This is the determiner here. All right, here we go. The picture is up. John, what do you got?
Gonna go silly.
Ding, ding. Correct. It is silly.
Even Tara's in on that one, and I love
it. Did we get the explanation of why the silly face is? I know there's a good story there, but
we're gonna get that. But first, thank you, John, for joining. We're gonna say bye to you.
Oh, you're not gonna reward him.
I love Gerritt and Tara. These are awesome people doing a fantastic job. See you, friends.
Thanks so much for joining us, John, and congratulations on your win.
You need to give him the prize.
All right. All right. That's awesome.
So, Gerritt, do you forgive us? We didn't have you sign any consent forms. We didn't ask.
You're fine. It's fine.
All right. So now is the time. You have to tell us what is the story behind the face?
What happened? Just working in youth ministry for as long as we have. and hosting so many teams, we just noticed, even in our own country here in youth ministry, just students going full on selfie mode, and to the crazy extent. And so it is my wit and banter to make fun of the selfie generation. And you have to be careful, carefully look through my photos, because a lot of times the goal or challenge that I have taken upon myself is to find people taking selfies in public and then take a selfie in front of them taking a selfie in public. And so that is why the face is there, and I have carried it on. And my boys don't even know why I do it. Tara knows why I do it. And what's funny is when I started doing it, she's like, I've never seen you make these faces ever in my life, and I've known you forever, and this is hilarious. And so now I like, you can tell, you can go through my album. It has now been a career choice. It's very hard for people to get real photos of me ever. I mean, it is what it is. And now I got my boys doing it. And it's even better because my youngest Titus is giving me a run for my money, because he is quick and he is giving me a run. So I've been not practicing, but I've been thinking up some new faces. And not every face is this, which if you look through it, you might think, oh, they're all the same, but they're not. There's quite a few that are different.
Wow, this is exciting. This is fresh, right off the wire here on Coffee with a Missionary. There is a new face coming from here. This is exciting. You know, we have to do justice to this beautiful family, though. Hold on a second. We just got to do justice. I mean, look at this beautiful family. You know, come on, that's a beautiful family. Awesome. Joe Hughes. Hi, Joe. Joe asked a question here. He said, Gerritt, what are your biggest challenges and how can we pray for you? So thanks for your question, Joe. We appreciate that.
Biggest challenges are all things in the States. Some of our biggest challenges right now are we're in the middle of election season. And so we are in the middle of this new era of like generation of 20-year-olds that don't want to reelect the same old official. So you have like this movement. And so that's challenging for us, because that means the way we do what we do in high schools could change. It's always scary to go through an election season. Right now we have great favor with a lot of our principals currently. And so as you have a new minister of education come in, that could change my whole game overnight. They could get rid of everybody. And that means I got to build new relationships. So we continue to pray for that. And then just open doors wherever we can get them. Continued open doors. Something we were talking about before we came online was just, it's been a long battle for us with our national youth department here. And that's a new open door for us. And so a prayer request to you could just be that relationship, as we're building a new relationship with a new national DYD. It's very fresh and young, and we have a lot of favor with him right now. Just that continued favor and wisdom as we walk these next few years with him in office. And who knows how long he'll be there, but at least our last guy was in office for over 15, 20 years, something like that. And so I'm hoping we can at least get 5. That's what I'm hoping for. So
yeah, amen. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Gerritt. Do you have anything else?
No, I mean, everything I know. Hi. It caught me off guard, obviously. Oh, no, I've just been loving this. I feel like you guys are just filling such a need, and like completely living out what it means to be a Christian, a missionary in a different culture, like just constantly rolling with the punches, working with, like, every missionary we talk to just defines what missions is, which gives you a really broad picture and perspective. Like, it's not narrow-minded. It's not one thing only. And I just, the stories that you've been able to share with us in just this little time, I know pale in comparison to everything God's been doing. And, we just really want to encourage, I was going to say our readers, because, that's what I'm whatever. But I just want to encourage all you guys listening, whether it's now or later, if it's in like 4 years and you stumble on this, like, don't don't be short-sighted and what God's gonna do. Like, you have to start somewhere. And I love that you guys started getting into schools, and then you met that girl, and now look where you could never have planned for all of this, but God just knew. And I just think that's so incredibly awesome. And yeah.
So as we kind of end in the ship here, if you are watching this, either you're watching live or if you're watching this on a replay, or we do invite everyone watching, feel free to share this video after it's done. Share it with people in your church, your missions committee, share it with friends, get the word out about Panama. But I felt strongly before the show that as an action step, if you're watching this and you're hearing about Gerritt and Tara, you're hearing about Panama, I wanna challenge you. Would you, as soon as this is over, would you take 5 minutes and say, God, how do you want me to be involved in what the Kenyons are doing in Panama? And once God says something to you, would you go ahead and would you contact Gerritt and Tara? Their email right on the screen is life4life@mac.com. life4life@mac.com. Would you take 5 minutes and just pray and say, God, first of all, pray for Refuge and pray for these students. God's doing something incredible and his favor is there, but there's still these students who are daily living with the reality of something that we could never imagine. Would you take 5 minutes and say, God, how do you want me involved? And then when you hear God, whether it's just reaching out to them, whether it's just saying, how can we better pray for you? Whether it's financially supporting them or Refuge, whatever it is, the possibilities are endless. But would you contact them? And would you say, hey, I watched the Facebook Live, I watched Coffee with a Missionary. I just want to tell you, this is what God told me. And, before we kind of end the broadcast, Gerritt, I want to give you one more shot just to any closing thoughts or anything you want to say about the ministry or what you guys are doing. Feel free to just share.
Yeah. We have no idea what our next steps are. Everybody asks me that, what's next? And we don't know. All we know is that it's an amazing dream that we fought for a long time to get to where we are now. But it's been kind of neat. The last, couple weeks, we have officially been open and students are flowing in and we're hearing stories and testimonies. And, a couple weeks ago, we had a mom come by and say, I didn't know a place like this existed for my son to be safe. And I had to come check it out. And I can't believe that you offer this. And, for us, the battle has been worth that. And those are just a few start of the stories. But we know we're changing a culture, and that's a hard turn of a ship to turn. It's a big ship that we're trying to turn, and we're trying to change culture. And it's a culture that's been that way for generations. And it's going to take a little bit of time to re-innovate a new of what's okay and what's not okay. And so as we look forward, continue, besides praying, which is phenomenal, but just ask the Lord, to give you names or faces of some of our students. And the Lord will. This is what we always say to our team, ask the Lord to give you a face and a name and just pray for them. Not just necessarily the Kenyons or Refuge in general, but ask the Lord specifically, God, give me a face of a name, Just yesterday, I was hanging out with a kid from northern Germany that is an exchange student here in the city that got invited by a kid that has come every day since we officially opened. And then, this kid, Christian, invited his friend from northern Germany. And the kid's like, I only speak German and English. And I need people to speak English in my life. And he's like, what is this? And so we're already influencing another culture that I never even imagined, but it's amazing the door that God is opening and just seeing where God's going to take this. And our heart is to raise up a generation that would take what we do for urban youth ministry and send it. And we have no idea some of these young men that are coming through our door or young women that are coming through our door where God's going to take them. So just, pray for them. They're the ones that we're having the opportunity to plant and water and pick fruit at the same time. Plant seeds, water seeds, and pick some fruit and watch God take their life and do something new. So,
That's awesome.
Well, thank you, Gerritt. We just want to say, on behalf of God, we want to say, that sounds ridiculous, but we want to say thank you for obeying the voice of God. You are where you are because you said yes to the Lord, and He sees your every need. He hears every cry. He has gone before you, and you can trust Him. And so we bless you in the name of Jesus. We bless your ministry, and just thank you so much for taking the time. I'm going to throw up this nice picture one last time, and this is the beautiful Kenyon family. Pray for them. Pray for Panama, and take 5 minutes. Pray God. Ask Him for a face and a name, and God, what are you calling us to do? So God bless you all. Thanks for joining us for Coffee with the Missionary. We hope to see you next time in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.